What's up, people? What's up, people? Oh, I got my screen share showing. What's up, people? I am Sekou. I'm your host for Get Rich 101. And today we're doing something a little bit different than our typical 101 episode. We're going to start off with the interview. And you saw the picture just a minute ago. That's Terrell. So we're going to talk to Terrell in just a few minutes. And so I'm going to give him a round of applause, and we're going to welcome him right on in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How you doing?
Yes,
Good morning.
Sir. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So yeah, man. So let me recap, people. So what happened was, B and I were doing our usual show, our usual Thursday mix-up, and she started talking about you. And she said, "Oh, you know what? I should give him a call." And she called you, and she found out so much about you. Found out so much about you. And so I wanted to just start off with introducing yourself. Just introducing yourself.
Yes, sir. My name is Terrell Alvoyd. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. 46 years old. I'm the owner of JT's Corporation. Down here in Omaha, I make tamales.
What?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I got the best tamale in the world. It already been proven. Wow. But that's another story for another show.
Right.
But Felicia King is my cousin. Sadu, what's your name? Sadu?
Sekou.
I'm saying that? Who?
Sekou.
I want to make sure I'm saying it right. Sekou. Sekou is the cousin-in-law, and I'm glad to be on this show talking about my story.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us what actually happened with you? Like, tell us what happened. And well, just a few minutes ago, you were talking about feeling like you were unplugged by God. We're going to get to that, but tell us what happened to you. What happened? Yeah.
So basically, in 2013, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure, and hypertension, and that had led to me having a really bad backache in 2015.
Really, a backache from high blood pressure?
Yeah. Wow. Yes, sir. So what happened? I ended up going to the emergency room to try to figure out what was going on with my back, because I'm thinking maybe I got a sprained back, and come to find out I had what was called an aortic artery dissection. My artery was literally pulling from the tissue wall. Wow. And if I would have ignored it, I would have died. Wow. That was definitely told to me when I went to the
pause right there. Mm-hmm. So, if you hadn't gone in because you had a backache, if you hadn't gone in and say, "Hey, my back is hurting," then you would have died. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Wow. Because what was going on, it was actually moving, like it was at the top of my back, but I felt whatever it was in my back, I felt it was like moving down. Ooh, but wow. the pain was getting more excruciating. Like I couldn't bear it. So wow. I had to end up calling my mom like 3 o'clock in the morning, and luckily she was up, and she was able to get me to the ER. And so when I got to the ER, they're asking me as far as like, what's your pain, your pain level. And I'm telling them like, hey, it's like 100. Wow. And you guys need to, give me something, get my pain down. Right. So when they put me on the blood pressure monitor, my blood pressure was 245 over 120.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Tell us what an average blood pressure is, so we can compare it.
So for me, for my weight and my height, my average blood pressure should be around 120 over 80.
Wow.
But that's an average for my height, and how much I weigh. But normally my blood pressure, like right now, it sits at 115/72, which that's excellent because
How much
uh-huh,
was it when you came in? How much was it when you came into the hospital?
it was 242/120.
Wow, that's incredible.
So yeah, so it was definitely elevated.
Yeah,
And what people should understand, like especially dealing with your blood pressure, it's not really the top number you need to worry about. It's always the bottle number, because the bottle, yes sir, because the bottle number, that is what opens up your vein. That's when your bottle number is not like 80 on up, your veins are starting to open, and that's what causes blowouts. But like in my case, when I was diagnosed with high blood pressure and hypertension, um, I didn't have no symptoms. I didn't have no headaches. I didn't have no vision change. I wasn't dizzy. And I just didn't know until I went into the hospital, for unrelated matter. And that's when they diagnosed me with high blood pressure. And they were asking me like, well, how long you been walking around with high blood pressure? Well, I don't know, because I ain't never checked it,
right,
so,
right.
and a lot of us, we don't check it because we thinking that we good because we don't have these symptoms.
Yeah,
But if you're not going to the doctors, or you're not, if you don't have like a blood pressure cup where you could
yeah.
check it, then you don't know, because
So
trust me.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna dip in there right quick, and I'm gonna say that I was worse. I was worse in your case because you didn't know. You didn't know that you had high blood pressure. In my case, I knew a little bit. I went in to see my dentist friend, something about a toothache or something, and I
Uh-huh.
went in to see him, and his assistant came in, just doing the basic thing, check, 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 and she's like, "Your blood pressure's kind of high," and I was like, "My blood pressure ain't high," because I felt good. I felt good. I was drinking. I was not drinking. I stopped drinking. I stopped. I started running every day. Like I was doing all these things, and I was like, "You must have me mistaken." And so he came in and he saw it too. He's like, "Yeah, you need to check this out." And I was like, "Yeah, all right." But my intention was very low. My intention was very low. So I just got a little bit of a prescription. I ate it all, and then that was it. But 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 if I had known then what I knew now, I would have stayed on it, because
Right.
what happened to me was a stroke. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Like I said, we don't have no symptoms until it's too late.
yeah.
And like I said, I had my first surgery. That was in 2016. I was in surgery for 15 hours.
Wow.
Then
Wait a
after,
minute now. Hold on. So when you went in with your back hurting, they kept you. They had to operate on
so
you right then.
no. So in 2013, when I was diagnosed with the high blood pressure, they kept me for like 2 weeks to monitor my blood pressure, because they were trying to get it down. But
Right.
when I went back in 2015 with the backache, they were like, "Yo, you got your arteries ripping, like it's tearing."
Wow.
And I was so upset with the doctors, because my family, there, my mom, she's in the emergency room with me. My sister's in there, my uncles, and the doctor came in there, and he just slid to my bed and was like, "Hey, you gonna die." So I'm
What?
like, "Yo, yeah." I'm like, "Yo, I don't want to hear that."
Oh
So like,
wow.
but he was keeping it real with me, and he told me, he said, if you would have just ignored it, you would have died in the morning. You would have been dead. So don't so my advice to people: don't ignore your body, because your body's trying to tell you something. You
Okay.
gotta get somewhere quick,
Okay.
because like I said, my first surgery was 2016, 15 hours in the surgery room, on the operator table. That went pretty good, but I had surgeries after that, like in that same week,
Right.
you know, they kept coming up there, getting me out the bed, take me down to the surgery room because they had to fix this, they had to fix that.
Wow.
So I'm thinking everything's all good. I was actually in the hospital for 3 months.
3 months.
3 months, and I'm gonna tell you, being in the hospital is worse being in jail.
What?
It's worse because
Break that down.
Because you're confined to a bed. My bed, it was on the alarm system, so I couldn't get up because I had an arc line, in my arm.
I had the alarm system on me too.
Yeah, so I had a little alarm system. I couldn't get up.
Yeah.
I couldn't leave out my room.
Couldn't leave.
The doctor's coming in every hour on the hour.
Wow.
I'm getting blood drawn every like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So the food is terrible.
Yeah.
And you can't hear the TV. So it's like being in an upscale jail,
But let me say something really funny, really quickly. So I used to be scared of needles. Blood needles, but because of the stroke, they were coming in and taking my blood, just like you, coming in and taking my blood every hour. And so I'm immune now. Like I don't even care if breaking out needles to take my blood because they took so much. It took so much of it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but then in 2017, I had another surgery because when they fixed the top up in the thoracic area, which is up there by the heart, it put so much pressure on the artery down below. I actually had an aneurysm. So they had in this case it was kind of weird, but so I go in for my checkup, right? So when I get to the hospital on my checkup, they were actually packed because they were having a lot of accident patients. So, I'm feeling good. I'm walking around. I got my little weight back on and I'm feeling great.
Right.
So I get to my appointment. So the nurse tells me, she's like, well, can you come back? Because we're like swamped. We got a lot of people in the ER. Right. We won't be able to get to you, do your x-ray. So can you come back within the week? Right. So I'm like, yeah, I feel great. I'm feeling good.
Right.
So the doctors, they called me right back. As soon as I got home, they called me right back.
What?
And yeah, they called me right back because they had took an x-ray of me a couple of days prior to me going to my doctor's appointment. Mm-hmm. Well, when they looked at the graph, the line in my stomach, it was thin, it was translucent, it was about to bust. And once again, I didn't have no symptoms. I wasn't feeling no stomach aches, no nothing. So my mom had to rush me back to the hospital. They was like, yeah, he cannot leave. We gotta keep him. So I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go with this again. So now I'm in there for like 2 weeks because my surgery.
This is 2 weeks in addition to the 3 months.
This is in 2017. So 2016 was my first surgery. I was in there for 3 months.
Wow. 3
months. So from my first surgery to my second surgery, I thought I was doing good because I'm taking my medication. Right. I'm feeling great. Right. But it put so much pressure from my first surgery, it ballooned the bottom part out. So I had to have emergency surgery. So I had to stay in there for 2 weeks before my surgery. And now my second surgery, I'm in it for 8 hours.
Okay, wait, I'm sorry. Time out. So the doctor that told you were going to die, he was the 3 month process.
Yes.
And so you had to prove him wrong, right?
No, well, as far as the dying part, yeah.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
what I mean. The dying part,
I'm
you
here.
got
I'm here to I'm here to stay.
yeah,
I ain't trying to hear that. But
right.
he's a good surgeon though. He was one of the top surgeons, and like he told me, he said all the other doctors were looking at it head on, but he was actually looking at it from another angle as far as the expansion and what was going on with my artery.
Really?
But now my second surgery, he was actually in the second surgery, but I had another surgeon doing the operation because he don't do the bottom half. He just does the top. And so my second surgery, this is where it get dark at because I actually
This is
coded
where it get
twice.
dark.
It
Yeah,
get
it's
dark.
dark already. It's been dark already, bro.
Yeah,
Let's go.
the second surgery I coded out twice.
Oh wow.
I died twice. The the second time, I was actually in the first time I coded out, I was in the operator. That I was on the operator table.
Mm.
The second time, I was actually in the intensive care. I was in there in the room.
So
So
those two times was the doctor we're talking about present? Those two times?
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes,
He had to fight not only what you said, but him. He had to fight his own words about telling you you were about to die. He had to fight his own words, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
He
He had to fight. Yeah.
Yeah, so they want let my mom, come in the back, and they did not tell her because they didn't want my mom to go into a situation by them telling them like, yeah, he's back there dead. So they
Wow.
didn't want, yeah, because the
Yikes.
second time I coded out when I was in the intensive care, uh, I what they had to do, they had to tilt the bed upside down to get the blood to rush back to my brain because what happened, my top number, it dropped down to 54 and my bottom number dropped down to 58. So it was 54 or 58. And normally when your top number meet with your bottom number, you basically dead.
Wow.
Yeah, you basically dead. So they had to do a little extra to get me back,
Man, I feel
to
like
get
I'm
me.
watching the episode of ER right now. That's how I feel. I feel like I'm watching the episode of ER. Like this is serious, bro. Coded
But
twice. That's crazy.
but it
Wow.
but it but it don't stop there. It don't stop there.
Oh,
So being in a hospital, you learn a lot about the body, right? And I did not know in your spine area you have three different areas. You have your T section, which is up at the top of the neck. Then you have what's called the thoracic area,
mhm.
and then you have your lumbar area. Well, in my thoracic area, I only have 6 spinal cords because they had to cut 6 of my spinal cords to get to the artery because they went through my back because that's where the problem was at. So when I got out the operation the first time,
Mm,
I could barely walk.
mm.
So they were like, so on my second surgery, they tell me they're like, hey, there's a possibility you're going to be paralyzed. So I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, what do you mean? I need my legs. They was like, hey, is it going to be between you having kids or you able, you being able to walk? So I'm like, man, basically, F them kids. I want to walk, So
Right.
when I came out of surgery, the first thing I started doing, I started moving my legs real fast. They was like, hey, no, you good. You can walk. You good.
Right.
So, but yeah, I only have six spinal cords in my thoracic area in my spine.
Mm.
So,
So I just want to point out
uh huh.
that the 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 lesson for us in terms of not being able to walk is a serious one because that happened to me too.
Mm-hmm.
They had me in a wheelchair, and what happened to me, it wasn't so much the conversation I had with the doctors, it was what I saw. Because they put me in a wheelchair and they wheeled me around just to give me some exercise. But I'm looking in every open door,
Yep.
house, every open door. And all I saw were people just slouched over, and they seemed to be milking that whole whole care thing. Like they seemed to be like stuck in their chair. And I just thought, I got to do something better than that. And so for me, next day, I hid the wheelchair. And so that forced them, because I couldn't talk then. I couldn't talk
Okay.
at all. And so I hid the wheelchair, and then I was like, I don't know, you got to do something with me. And they picked me up and walked me around. But that walking around was so difficult. It was so difficult, right? So I know you had some similar stories, right?
But you know why it was difficult?
Wow.
Because here's what was told to me. When you lay in the bed one day, it equals 3 days. So if you confine to a bed for a whole entire week, I guess the skills in in your inner thigh, I guess they just diminish. Wow. Because I had the same issue when I got out the hospital, and if it was for my mom, like, being how she is, then I would have been that type of person to like depend on people to help me and do stuff for me, because I had to actually move in with my mom. And at first, at first he was like, you could take my room, because my room got it got the bathtub, you got the bathroom, you ain't got to go far. I'll sleep on the couch. Right. Well, my mom has a resident home, so she has other patients in her facility. So, right. But sleeping on that couch got a little too much for her, because she came in that room. She said, "You know what? You're going downstairs." So I'm like, yo, I can't walk. She was like, "You'll figure it out."
Oh wow!
You'll figure it out. So, so,
so, she put it on you.
Yeah. So I'm downstairs, and I'm like, now how am I gonna get upstairs? And I got the smelling that food, because she's up there cooking. Yeah. I got the sliding up those stairs.
That's
and then, so then I got enough strength to kind of push myself up on that banister. And then she told me, she said, "Hey, don't break my banister."
Wow. But you had to work it out. To get some good food.
So yes, sir. So what I started doing, I started walking down the alley, because by my mom's house there's an alley. So I started walking, like, I was struggling at first, but then it started getting better for me. And next thing you know, I'm doing fast pace now.
Really?
But I had to do something, because I couldn't sit in that basement and just not do anything. Yeah, and I think that's what happened. People get in the wheelchairs and they just be like, "This is it." Nah, it ain't it. You got to get up.
Exactly. That's the same thing I experienced with people in my hospital. And then when I got home, I had to get out too. And so what I did was I tried to walk around the neighborhood, and that did not go well. At all. Yeah, it did not go well at all. But I kept trying. And now, with the point where I've been running a mile or more every single day for 908 days.
That's excellent.
Right?
Yeah, that's excellent. Because I actually started working out again, and but I had to make sure that I was able to do that. And when I went to my doctor's appointment, they was like, "Hey, you need to start working out again, because your bones, the calcium in your bones are kind of diminishing. So you're going to have to strengthen your bones back up." And that's all I needed to hear. So when I work out, I'm not working out heavy. I'm just doing machines and doing a little dumbbell work. But other than that, that's it. I'm in there for maybe 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and I'm out of there.
Yeah, right.
I'm out of there.
So
but
well, I just started working out too. I just started, and my doorman was getting after me about doing push-ups, and I'm doing push-ups against the wall. And so I'm doing push-ups against the wall, and he was like, "I want to see 50," and then it was like 150, and then 200, and I was like, "What?" And so now I've been doing these, but now I'm doing on the floor. I'm doing floor, and so now I'm doing a lot. So now I'm doing more than I was before, because I'm doing the floor, and so now I'm building myself up bit by bit.
Yeah, I'm loving it. But I also want to talk about something else though, because I'm a man of faith. Okay, I believe in God wholeheartedly, heavily, and when I went through my experience with my my artery situation, I really truly believe it all came from me not giving the glory to God when I was running around with my business. Because I was doing a lot of demos. Because when I got my first store, I was super pumped. I'm like, okay, I'm in the stores now. I'm about to go full throttle with it. So I'm working my job and I'm working my business. And so I'm like, I'm doing this full time now. And my store started picking up. It started circulating. So I went from one store to like 5 stores, from 5 stores to 20 stores. Mm-hmm. Then I got into a distributor. And like I said, I did not give the glory to God. And I feel like God had to sit me down to show me that he's in control. So he unplugged me that first time. And I'm like, okay, I know what's going on on the first Thursday. So, I'm slowly getting back into, my Bible. But then once I got better, I fell off. I stopped. I kind of stopped, and I was going back to doing my business. And then he unplugged me again. But this time, when he unplugged me that second time, he was like, "I'm gonna take it a step farther. I'm gonna let you experience death, not once but twice." Wow. So hey, that second time, I'm like, you know what? Nope, I'm not gonna play with that. I'm not gonna play with my faith. I'm not playing with that. I'm gonna stick to this, because that mean more to me than actually being in the stores. My faith is more to me than having money. Knowing God is more than being rich. And we say it all the time. We got so many people that's living a worldly life, and they not understanding that you gotta worship God. You can't just do what you want to do and think that you're going to get into heaven by saying, okay, I confess my sins on your dying bed, because it doesn't work like that. Right. But
so, that is a great place for us to end. But you got to tell us where the people can find you. Where people can find you in the Omaha. Tell us.
So you can actually find me on Facebook up under Terrell Alvoy, or you can call me directly 402-669-5067. We're actually working on a building now and trying to so where I could actually start making my tamales again. So hopefully that comes through, and once that comes through, I'll post my location. Okay. But yeah, I'm getting back into it, and like I said, once again, I have the best tamale in the world, hands down. I'm gonna have to send you guys some. I do vegan, I do beef, I do chicken. I can make them any kind of way, any way you want me to make them, Okay. But I'll definitely send you guys some. I just have to, dry freeze it and send it to you guys, so y'all can try them. But yeah, man, thanks again for having me on your show. I'm always available, man. So if you ever want to talk about anything else, I'm here.
Man, we gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about it. Look at the comments down here. Best tamales in the world, right there. Right there. Best tamales in the
Yes,
world.
yes, sir.
Team
Yes,
West tamales. So yeah, bro. As long as you gave them the information for your tamales, I think that's the go. I think that's the go.
yes, sir. And like I said, you know, for your audience, stay on your blood pressure. This right here, this is my friend.
What's your the name of that one? What's the name?
This is I'm Ron.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm Ron. This actually came from the hospital. So this is accurate. But you could get it you can actually buy them at Walmart. I believe this one right here, well, I believe like $69.99. But trust me, it's good to have because we need to know what our blood pressure is because I don't want nobody to go through what I went through, you know, because them drain tubes, all them drain tubes, and you know, just being cooped up in that hospital. That's not. It ain't good.
Yeah,
it's not good at all.
My situation is not as bad as yours, not as bad as yours, but my situation was still challenging, and I don't want anybody to go through it either. So please, 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 folks, pay attention to us today. Pay attention to us today. All right, folks, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you later.